Hey everyone, good morning. Here we are for round 4, season 4 of the Essentials. We're so excited for this weekend. Please drop in the chat where you're logging in from. Sometimes we get, people, oftentimes, most of the times, all the time, we get people tuning in from all over. So it's super cool to see where everyone is coming in from. We're just gonna wait a minute or two and give it a little bit of time to just make sure everyone joins. And yeah, we're super excited to get started. This is the Essentials. Oops. Hello, I'm back. Please drop in the chat where y'all are joining in from. The chat is disabled, says Paul, Rebecca, if there's a way to enable the chat.
I will fix it. Hang on one second.
Thanks everyone for being the first. Well, I'm just gonna put where I'm joining in from. I am tuning in from Houston, Texas, my hometown, born and raised. Marie is also in Houston. But we're not in the same place. But yeah, we're just getting fired up here, waiting for more people to sign in. Ooh, I see that the chat must be enabled now. Woohoo, here we go. Yes, I love this. Please say where you're coming from. Detroit, Dhaka, DC, Singapore, Oaxaca, what's up? Ghana, oh my God, I love this so much. Armenia, Kenya, Dallas, hey, who is that from Bulgaria? What's up, Anastas? I should have known that was you. Pakistan, but oh my God, y'all, this like gets me so fired up and pumped. I love this. Wow, Madagascar, so cool. Pakistan, oh, y'all, it's too early to cry, but this is just so inspiring and so cool. We're just so happy that all of you could join with us today. We're gonna give it just one more minute, and then we'll get started. But you can look at the beautiful screen of all of the amazing speakers we have this weekend who are going to be going over every single topic you could think of. Okay, I don't want to be like a car salesperson. We're going over a lot of really amazing things, and we have our Everyday Projects webinar website, as well as Photo Wings and Black Women Photographers, where a lot of these videos are available from even past seasons that we've done in Spanish and French. So please check those out too, because we are going to cover a tremendous amount of ground this weekend. But if there's any topic that you do want to know more about that we don't cover this weekend, I bet you we have covered it. So make sure to bookmark those websites. Cool. Well, I think we've got a really great crowd. I mean, where else? I mean, maybe someone could tune in from Antarctica, but other than that, I think we're good to go. So we're just gonna get started. We're gonna jump in. So hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Villasana. Welcome to the Essentials. If you didn't know, now you know. They are free online classes on navigating the photojournalism industry and beyond. Like I said, this is our 4th season, and it's all been made possible by partnering with grassroots photo organizations working toward inclusivity, equity, and access in the media. So that is the Everyday Projects, whoop, whoop, Black Women Photographers, hey, hey, and Photo Wings, yeah. Like I said, my name is Danielle Villasana. I am actually a photojournalist, but I wear many hats, and one of those is also as a community team member of the Everyday Project since probably as long as I've been in the professional career. So I love the Everyday Projects. I love what we do. I love our community. I am co-hosting with the amazing founder of Black Women Photographers, Polly Irungu, but she is also, her other hat is being a photographer for, no big deal, the Vice President of the United States of America. So she will be joining us later. Something came up with that. So yeah, we will introduce her later, but I will just talk to y'all about really quickly again, the Everyday Projects, again, for those of you who may not know, it's a global community of visual storytellers using imagery to combat harmful misperceptions and to rise above persistent inequality, i.e. why I love what we do so much. And we're a nonprofit, so we really work to provide opportunities for our global community to support, give direction to all of these everyday groups around the world. Black women photographers is super cool, and Polly is just the coolest. And they work to disrupt the notion that it's difficult to discover and commission Black creatives. BWP is dedicated to providing a resource for the industry's gatekeepers and is a global community directory and hub of more than 1,200 Black women and non-binary identifying photographers spanning over 50 countries and 35 US states. Amazing. We also want to give a massive shout out to our other partner, Photo Wings, that helps make the essentials possible. Photo Wings is a nonprofit organization dedicated to utilizing the power of photography to further deep thinking, communication, and action. Their extensive online content, and by extensive, I mean extensive, y'all. It is a gold mine of information. So please make sure you check out Photo Wings website too. They also have outreach programs and educational applications and possibilities. So please bookmark that website. And before we jump into the essentials, I just want to go back to Polly and Black women photographers and the amazing work that Polly is doing, which, by the way, like I said, she's also like has a real job being, okay, this is a real job too. But anyways, she's amazing. Black women photographers is amazing. So please, you know, if you would like to make the contribution to Black women photographers, no amount is too small or too big. Here are the ways that you can do that on Venmo or Cash App. And yeah, so here we are. I am super happy to be here with all of you today. We cannot wait for these awesome classes and speakers. And I just want to give a shout out to some of our colleagues here who are helping behind the scenes. We have Rebecca Gibeon, Fiona Washira, Austin Merrill, who along with Peter DeCampo are the co-founders of the Everyday Project. So they're in the background. They are here. So just a big round of applause to them because y'all, seriously, like would not be possible without them. I'm laughing because this morning was crazy, but Rebecca saved the day. So, and with that, yeah, let's get started. Oh, just kidding. Follow us on social media. These are, like I said, we are a treasure trove of information. All of these organizations, the Everyday Projects, Black Women Photographers, and Photo Wing. So these are all the ways that you can follow us on social media and keep up to date with everything that we're doing. Each class is going to be recorded. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Each class is going to be recorded. So like I said, y'all can find those on the website after the essentials concludes, and we will make sure to share those links with all of you on social. So yeah, please make sure to follow us on social. And I'm just getting this screen back up because we don't have Lindsay now. We have her at the end of today. And we have with us the amazing Marie de Jesus. So I want to make sure I have the correct slide up, and I will in just 1 second. 5, 4, 5, 4. You know, it's crazy. You could do all the tech and practice runs in the world and inevitably, okay, but I think I'm back, right? Can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a thumbs up? I'm back, right? Yeah, cool. All right, like I said, y'all, we have the amazing, incredible Marie de Jesus with us here today. I have always admired her grit and ability to just literally make stuff happen. She is a powerhouse, and we are going to learn so much from Marie today. Marie is a Puerto Rican photographer and I want everyone to listen to this, make sure you're listening, the first Latina president of the National Press Photographers Association. What? Like, so cool, y'all. Marie is making history. During her years of working as a staff news photographer for publications such as the Houston Chronicle, she received recognitions such as being a No Big Deal finalist for the Pulitzer Prize and winner of the Staff Award for Public Service from the Scripps Howard Foundation. As if that wasn't enough, Marie is now the director of photography for the Houston Landing, a local nonprofit news source out of Houston, Texas, that is doing incredible work. Today, Marie will be kicking off the essentials by sharing her long, rich, robust path as a photographer and how she was able to not only break into the business, but how she was able to reach all of these incredible achievements. So Marie, we are so excited to hear from you today. It's such a treat. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my, was I not sharing my screen?
It's
God.
okay. It's all good.
There it is. There's Marie. There's the beautiful title of the class. But who needs a beautiful photo of Marie when we can just see Marie? I know what happened. I shared it and then I X'd out. But anyways, we actually have the in real life Marie. So who needs that beautiful graphic anyways? Marie, hello. Bienvenida. Es un gusto verte. Por favor, take it over.
Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Danielle, and thank you, Everyday Projects, for this opportunity to join you this Saturday morning. I really admire the work coming out from this group and so many others. I wish that so much of this was happening back 15 years ago when I started. This would have been really, really helpful. Let me put this here. All right. So as Danielle said, my name is Marie de Jesus, or Mari de Jesus. How my family and friends in Puerto Rico call me. I am currently the Houston Landing director of photography. Houston Landing is a nonprofit newsroom based in Houston. We hard launched in June of this year. I'm also the president of the National Press Photographers Association. It's an association that has been around for more than 75 years, and we have about 3,700 members at the moment, providing programs and advocacy opportunities. And we're also taking care of your constitutional rights here in the States. Like I said, I have been around, about 15 years. However, I always want to start with letting everyone know where I come from and who I am as a person. I am a Puerto Rican journalist. I came to the States 20 years ago from Arecibo, Puerto Rico. I am a partner, I am a dog mom, and I am an aunt. That little boy there is Azarel. He's not a little boy anymore. But why do I show you this? Because for me, it's super important to always remember where I come from. That way, I'm confident of who I am, which helps me guide me through my process, guide me to my goals. I am the daughter of Maricel Rodriguez, and I am the granddaughter of Lucy Allers. So that for me, immediately, anytime that I am feeling insecure, I remember that I am the daughter of incredible women. So that for me it's sort of how I start my process, remembering who I am and where I come from. I'm also this. I am a photographer, I am a photo editor, and I am also a mentor. You see me there hanging from bridges and taking portraits and lighting portraits and, going into protest and covering everything that needs to be covered in the city of Houston and beyond. This is a bit of my timeline. We know this class is about how to break into the industry. I'm going to speak from the point of view that my career in photography took me into journalism, and it took me into mainstream journalism, community newspaper journalism. So I'm not saying that this is the way or this is the only way. This is the way that for this Puerto Rican journalist with a broken in, English back in the day, this is how I started. This was my process. And I look back and I see the patterns, and I now that I am 40, I understand how my brain works. In 2003, from 2008, so in 2003, I come to the States. I immediately, in 2003, I started in the student newspaper of a community college. But you see, from 2003 to 2008, I am also applying for the New York Times Journalism Institute, which now is called the Fellowship. I am applying for the local newspaper internship, which is the Orlando Sentinel. So I am taking advantage of diversity pipeline programs. Back then, it was things like the Chips Queen Scholars. I don't think it's around anymore, but there is different diversity programs that allow you to gain experience, to build your portfolio, and to meet people that want to mentor you, people who are interested in diversifying spaces. So as I put a little bit on blue, each opportunity, I identified what that space would give me in terms of experience. At Virginia, the Virginia Tech internship, I immediately identified that they could help me with lighting. So each space that I entered, I would look at my portfolio and I would identify where were the holes in my skill set, in my mindset, in my own limitations. I would be very, very conscientious of what I could learn. Virginia Tech, it was a newsroom. It's a major university, so they already they light everything. Would I have wanted to be in perhaps another internship? Yeah, except they taught me a lot about things that in my real life now, professionally, it absolutely changed. It totally helped me build the skill set to be able to be a reliable member of a team in photo departments throughout my different roles. My first staff job comes out of the Victoria Advocate. I learned a bit about sports. The internship at the Democrat and Chronicle in New York, I learned about video. At the Houston Chronicle, what do I learn? I learned long format and planning. At the Houston Landing right now, project management and leadership. Okay, so since I tend to compartmentalize things, I make what can I get out of this? What am I lacking? How can I help? So I bring some of me, what I can offer of my experience, of my life experience as a queer Puerto Rican woman. But at the same time, I identify what are they equipped to be able to teach me back. So I try to organize and take advantage of different things, right? In this case, I tend to organize what are the events coming up, what are the different opportunities that are out there for me. Right now, there is mentorship programs, and PPA has a mentorship program on which we pair you with an industry leader. So for an academic year, you have this person helping you with portfolios, helping you in the different ways, but Women Photograph has a great program too. But I identified throughout the year, I would identify throughout the year, where were the possibilities? And I would target, if you see here, the national, the NHAJ, AAJA, NABJ, every time they have a convention, they have a newsroom. They fly students. I did it. They fly students. They provide them with hotel room. They provide with all the facilities, and they place them for sort of a week to work with other industry and build a publication during the convention. What did I get from that? I learned how to maneuver myself around a newsroom. I had access to get my questions answered, and I networked. I mingled with other professionals that were Latinos the same way, Latinos that were interested in also helping people like me. So I would apply to everything that they would pay for my ticket and my hotel. Okay, I would make a list of what is coming up for the year. So you see immediately, lighting. I understood that some organizations could help me with lighting. this is the product. This is a project for the Houston Chronicle called Traces of Home, in which I've made portraits in their homes, and they would show me what they brought from their home. They're now here in the States. They are nostalgic. They miss their families. They miss their communities. They miss their traditions. So each one would show me what they brought. But you see, what I am implementing is the skills that I learned throughout my internships in different organizations. These are a few examples of how lighting skills has helped me in my current role at the Houston Chronicle and my current role at the Houston Landing. Here, this is Dwight Howard with a chess. Dwight Howard is an NBA player. So all of these skills, these are things that I got while getting paid at an internship. All right. I didn't pay to learn this. They provide the gear and they provide the lessons and the guidance. This is a little bit of work for a fashion magazine. Then again, the DNC, the Democratic Chronicle, helped me with video and audio skills. I understood I really needed to pay my bills. I needed to diversify my skill set. Okay. So I understood that I was lacking a little bit in video and audio recording. This is a bit of a portfolio, the different thumbnails of the different videos I was doing back then. At the end of the day, let's be realistic. Your photo depends highly on the places that you put yourself in. I think I heard this from Mary Calvert. Put yourself in front of interesting things. Want to make interesting visual work? Put yourself in front of interesting things, interesting moments that are relevant, moments that are going to have a historic significance. Develop that inner voice that tells you this is going to be historic in one way or another. This is a protest at the President Donald Trump's inauguration back in January 20th. I can't even remember the year, but so place yourself in front of, do the homework and look for events, circumstances, moments, stories that will put you in front of interesting things or things that are important and relevant. Prepare and plan ahead. Gotta prepare and plan ahead, folks. This is a slide I use a lot with the reporters and photographers at the Houston Landing. Brainstorm with me, brainstorm with your mentor, brainstorm with your photo editor. What are the best photo opportunities? Sometimes it's not as obvious as it seems. Think about scenes, think about what can you bring new to the reader, to the viewer? How can you create impact? And also surprise your photo editor, please. Right now I am in management. I have seen, it's two decades of seeing photography. I love when freelancers surprise me with a point of view, with something I have never seen before. So surprise your viewers, surprise your photo editor. Think about who are the main characters in that story. Not everyone makes a character. Not everyone has a strong voice or a story. Look for those sources. Look for those stories that will create impact, stories that will change minds, that will change hearts, and then look for opportunities on how to approach this. One of the things is revealing quotes. Many times I tell the reporters or the photographers, listen to what the person said. What are those quotes? You can get ideas for different scenes based on the quotes they give you. If they mentioned slightly, we are living in our car, look for things that people will say that can give you an idea on what should be photographed. What is compelling? What are they doing? Think verbs, think action. Compelling visual journalism, right? Very good, but basic is though who, what, where, when. That is great. And honestly, to pitch a story to an editor, you need to be able to answer those questions. Or be very, very close to answering those questions. We encourage everyone at the landing to write what we call budget lines. Budget lines are like small pitches. And part of that paragraph, it includes all of those W's. But better yet, narrative, the narrative arc, a story that has some level of beginning, middle, and end. And definitely those are harder. I understand, and we all understand, but I am a storyteller. So I want to give, it's a journey to the reader, a journey to the viewer. And then pinnacle, I mean, story, story-driven moments. And again, we go back to historic, things that will create big impact. Things to remember, collaborations pays off. What has really made a difference in my career has been the relationships I have with other journalists, with those reporters, that we can sit down and think deeply about what we're trying to do, what are the goals, what are the opportunities, and ground ourselves. That way, those partnerships, you can divide responsibilities. So I'm telling you, make friends with reporters, make friends with writers, make friends with editors. That has been the key to my career because they are training other things. I am training other. We've combined forces, and that's how the magic happened. Plan your goals. Evolution and the ability to pivot is essential to the longevity of your career. Folks, this is a marathon. All right. This is not a small capsule time in your life as a photographer. This is a long, long career. So pace yourself. Be very conscientious of the amount of energy and bandwidth that you have, and pivot if it needs to. Build those skill sets, because at the end of the day, many of us, we still have to pay for our bills, right? So evolution and your ability to pivot and be open to change will lengthen your career tremendously. It will allow you to survive layoffs. It will be able to survive you buyouts. It will be able to survive moments on which publications are not commissioning work. If you have more than one skill to offer, it means sustainability. Focus, obviously, recognize the visual potential of stories. Verb photography, I have mentioned this, and I tell my report, the photojournalists I work with, verb. I love portraiture, but verbs are very important. Take care of your physical and mental health. I cannot insist. I am awful at it. Danielle knows I am awful at it, but I can tell how my work suffers, how my ability to interact with the public when I haven't slept well. Relationships matter. Always consider what you have in your portfolio. Yes, variety can be important, but honestly, what photo editors are really looking to see is what is your voice? What is your point of view? What is that you bring that it's particular? So develop personal projects, things that are important to you. And we can tell when you're not into it. We just can tell. It's immediately. You don't really your heart is not in it, but when your heart is, we can tell. We absolutely. Writing skills, I cannot say enough of the importance of some writing skills. Practice. Part of the reasons why I was taking in my early career internships and workshops that they would pay my way, that I would join as many things as possible, was to make photos as often as possible throughout the week. The more often you do it, the less rusty you're going to be. Build and secure your own archive. Plan for the future. Again, this is a marathon. Maybe the child that you just photographed might become president of the United States one day. So build your archive and work the contracts, right? Make sure that you have some level of ownership or co-ownership of the work. Projects. Projects. Everything that has had some level of impact has been through partnerships and building into long form storytelling. In this case was denied. The state of the education agency in Texas had placed very quietly an 8.5% cap on how many students with special needs could get services and education. So we're talking about entire generation of students that never got the help, which is a violation of the federal government. So when I broke this story with the writer, we went through different families that were experiencing really serious challenges because schools were not providing any level of service for these young ones. When we broke the story, the federal government ended up in the state of Texas. This is at a forum, one of the students breaking down, talking about his challenges. So you see, this is impact, right? Parents furious. So why maybe the photos, this is pretty early in my career. Will I do things differently with photo? Perhaps, except that for me, the impact this story had shaped the way that I see journalism. It shaped the way that I understood what journalism can do, what visual journalism can do. So when I started in projects, we started with sort of like a back out calendar, and I start giving myself some deadlines, right? So this is one of the skills I learned at the Houston Chronicle. At the Landing, I learned to fact check better. At the Houston Landing, I learned better leadership skills and better even project management. But a back out calendar helped me to structure projects, give myself deadlines, or the editor would give me the deadlines, or I would give the deadlines to the photographer. This helped me tremendously to structure and stay on task. In that folder, we can include maps, prior coverage, take a look at what other people have done. Hold on. Because you don't want to repeat the story. You want to be able to offer something new because, again, we want to be solution-based. We want to create impact. We want to help. So take a look at what prior coverage of other organizations have done on those projects. Take notes, put maps, all of that under that Google Drive folder, and keep track of your progress. Basically, it's a project life cycle. This is a bit of like how I'm structuring inside of my Google Drive. Again, project development, it was a skill that I developed in one of the many opportunities. So again, don't look beyond how to build a frame, how to do this or how to do that it's only photo related. Get good at other aspects of how to do impactful work. Again, here are cases, probe to court documents, experts, family contacts, guardianship, written notes. This is another thing that I do and that I learned the hard way, that it was incredibly important. Tracking down my communication with that source. Also, this serves as an evidence to the editor of what I have done and what I have not. And it makes sure that if anyone ever, an agency, question what I am publishing, I have evidence. I have evidence of the conclusion of those phone interviews, what has been done, who was called, why someone didn't answer the phone. So it's super important to document your process. It will safeguard, it will safeguard your career, your process. Again, I learned it the hard way. So now I try to do my best in tracking. There's phone numbers. This is where I left a voicemail. This happened. This didn't happen. Another project, we had an influx of Haitians that were coming not from Haiti, were coming from Chile and Brazil, and they were arriving to the border in Texas. So we went back, decided that we wanted to go closer to the source, in this case, the midpoint, which is the Darien Gap, but pitching the story to our editors, explaining the context. This is the story, this is what's happening, and then bringing and putting together a budget. This is what we think we can deliver. 3 print pieces, a photo essay, map with graphics. This is the budget. This is what we think it can cost. And from this, they make a lot of questions and they ended up approving it. So this is a bit of the work that I did in Colombia with Elizabeth Troval, an immigration reporter. This is like at 2 in the morning and the beautiful Milky Way galaxy. This is then in Mexico. We also went to a border town in Mexico and get a bit of slices of life, what it is that it's part of the way to be able to ask for asylum here in the States. I end with this slide, which is the wisdom of one of my friends. Value your own voice. This is a really, really tough industry. But you have something. There's something in you that the community needs that should be part of your process of putting work out there. Be resilient, pivot, and build relationships. The story might go on, but those relationships with your colleagues and the community are lasting, right? The life cycle doesn't allow for stories to be always relevant forever. But how the community perceives you, how trustworthy you are, it's super important. So please, no prima donnas, work with your colleagues and be part of the conversation, engage with the community. So how did I do it on time?
Applauso, applauso, that was amazing. I'm like, y'all, it's too early for tears, but that last slide, wow, so valuable. I hope you have a second to peek at the chat. We do have a lot of questions though, but there's people thanking you so much for all of this golden advice. And I, for one, look up to you so much. So it's, really cool to see your path and just remind everyone that everyone starts from the beginning and you slowly build over time. So anyone who you look up to now as a photographer, this is for every, the people in the audience, anyone you look up to now, know that they also started from the beginning, right? Nobody is like born
Absolutely.
like, I'm a journalist, right?
Yes.
Like straight out the gate, no, it's a long, like you said, it's a marathon. It's a marathon. So have your snacks, have your water. Don't give up. And I love what you said. If there's like one takeaway, don't be a prima donna, y'all. Be cool. There's space for everyone, okay? Okay. You did great on time. Thank you so much, Marie. It was beautiful. And I love how you got advice in there, practicals, photos. It was perfect. Chef's kiss. But let's get into some questions because we have a ton. So I'm just gonna jump right in. how would you, and these are from the audience,
Okay.
how would you recommend someone starting the process of, okay, we're kind of going back a little bit, but how would you recommend someone starting the process of creating an archive? What helped you get through that process? They said it's a great idea. And that was a comment from Lena Collado, who is also a Puerto Rican photographer. And also,
I love.
we all should connect. Okay,
So,
archive.
so in with personally, I think the process needs to start the moment that you ingest. It needs to start with how you populate your metadata inside your file. Okay, so context, all of the information that you can add in your metadata, those captions, names, anything that it's relevant, because I'm telling you, in 2 weeks, you won't remember. You won't remember anything. We are, right? I'm working 60 hours a week. Like, I won't remember what I wore the day before. So again, start with how you organize when ingesting. The dates. Let me see if I have, if I can. So when can you guys see this?
Wow. Y'all, this is so valuable. And I just want to say again, the fact that we got Marie to even, I mean, there must be 2 Maries out there. She has no time. So this is so special to see this inner working. Yeah. Tell us.
Again, so when I ingest in this manner. Slug, date, the initial, right? The freelancers might not put their initial, so I do put the initial for them. But same with me, right? My own work. Then I separate, I keep the entire take. You might not see it right here, but I do keep the entire take. It's just that I had to delete it for this purpose. And I separate it in this manner, and I put a _1, so it always is on top, that folder of the edited. So when I throw it on the archive, it goes in with the nicely toned, with the captions, with absolutely everything in it. So full take, edited, tone, beautifully captioned, all of the information I need. And I tend, especially more than ever, now I even save the assignments. I lost a decade of context for not saving my photo assignments. Those photo requests, they have phone numbers for those sources, addresses, context, what they were. This was a mistake. This was the rookie mistake of my life. You are also, there's 2 things that make you valuable in a newsroom. Your ability to provide story ideas, that is the main currency of a newsroom. The second one is your ability to be well sourced. Who do you know? Who can connect you with who? All of those things, super important. So then I put all of this, in a hard drive. They separate. Some people I know, some senior photographers that have different hard drives in different locations, just in case their house catches fire. Right, like I had a colleague that did a lot of work with NASA, historic, important work, right? Photos from the last shuttle that went into space. So for that, he has more than one hard drive, because this is history, and we cannot rely that the publications will save this work. All right, so when you start seeing things in the big picture, you start seeing how your work plays out bigger in your community. What it means, it's just you're going to like, the game is just going to change.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think an important takeaway here is there's not, as with anything in this industry, there isn't an exactly 2 + 2 is 4. You know, there's not like one right way to archive. I think the important takeaway is archive, whatever system makes sense to you. And definitely the metadata. Oh my gosh, that is something that I'm so bad at. And every time I go into the photo and I'm like, whoa, why didn't I do the metadata? Like, so that is so, it should definitely be part of any system or process that you do adopt that works for you. Put the metadata in the photo. Yeah.
It's just because you are recording history. You again, we have to see ourselves in a bigger picture as photographers. We just can't continue seeing ourselves with like small assignments. We need to understand that we are an active voice in our community, that we are the record keepers.
Yes. Beautiful. Okay, we have like at least 12 more questions. So that was great. Thank you. So someone says, I've been reaching out to different editors for over a year now and rarely get responses. What tips do you have to get more interaction between yourself and editors? Literally every single person who has ever attempted this career can relate to that. Oh my God, the biggest struggle ever. So what are your tips, Marie, for getting more interaction between yourself and an editor? And like, how many times is like, okay to follow up, you know, all those kind of little like tips and tricks that you might have for us.
So make sure that you are approaching the right editor, that your work goes along. I am getting now in management, I'm getting like inquiries from folks that I'm like, oh, we just don't do that. We don't go to the border right now. We don't do a lot of things that's what they want to do. And it's not that the work is not incredible. It's just that I have needs and I have limited time and I have limited resources and I have limited budgeting. However, I will say that a good amount of the people in my roster ended up in my roster because they send friendly reminder emails. They would send, I am doing this, I am working on this, what do you think about this? They also would speak to someone that is already part of my roster for kind of like a recommendation, right? Like I got a photographer that now is really part of our weekly rotation through Annie, right? I trust Annie Mulligan. She's an established, so that has helped tremendously. But I would say, please work on things that will get my attention, that will get our attention, and put it in front of us and keep working at it. Develop a voice, develop a presence. Ask for Joseph Bowie. He literally asked me for lunch. He said, I am an NPPA member. I am now in town. Please, can we? And I had time and we sat down and now he's part of my rotation. So I'm okay with getting reminders. I exist. I be humble. And when be humble, don't, it's not that you're just be also a little gentle, understanding that I have also limited time and that I'm doing a lot of things, but remind us, honestly, for me, going to NHAJ conventions and Unity conventions and NABJ conventions, it changed my life. Okay, because Latinos want to also like help upcoming Latinos. African-American journalists want to see their own people, push forward. So get in front of them, and I would put for portfolio reviews, I would see the list, who is going to be there, and I would prepare a portfolio for that editor. Because again, not every editor has, but networking is, because one thing is, you want to make yourself a person. And that's why I enter the presentation with a picture of me as a person. I make myself relatable. So when I see you in person or we bump, don't be afraid to like shake my hand. You see me somewhere and shake my hand, I will. That is better than an email. Just resilience, keep on working on it. Yeah, that's so relatable. I mean, I feel like, I don't know about you, Marie, but I've been in the game, I've been doing this 10 years, and I feel like it wasn't until like 5 years ago that I feel like editors finally started to be like, oh yeah, hey Danielle, or oh yeah, I got your email. But before then it was just like trying to slowly build up your Rolodex, trying to slowly chip away at the block of like meeting people, like Marie said, through portfolio reviews, conferences, events, even, and now thankfully thanks to COVID, like if you can't get to New York or DC to meet editors, try to write to someone and say, hey, do you have a moment to meet on Zoom? I'd love to show you X project or X portfolio, right? So, I mean, this profession is such a hustle, right? You have to be like in a million different places all at the same time. So, and just know that it's like Marie said, it's a slowly chipping away, slowly building over time. And, eventually
like it'll happen. So, okay, we have another great question. You have mentioned that you've learned these things the hard way. And by the way, myself too, I feel like anything I've ever gotten, you know, as an accomplishment, I tried at least 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times, did not get it on the first try. Would you be open, Marie, to sharing a story about maybe something that you did wrong? And I say that in quotes because every wrong or whatever is an opportunity to learn. And what did you learn from that experience? And if you want a moment to like think about that, I can go to another question until you.
Maybe this is not the most obvious or straightforward. I was partnering with a writer. I was doing a lot of the translation work. I was doing a lot of the, you know, sort of like interviews and filtering. And this is a person that it's not flaky, that it's willing to speak. And I, you know, sort of sent a lot of the transcripts and a lot of the interviews, a lot of the writing and all of the note taking and documents, and failed to include the editor and just sending it to the writer. That presented itself with some issues. Thankfully, I had so much that the miscommunication got corrected, but you will learn the lesson, okay? Communicate also with their editor, with the reporter's editor. Let them know your level of participation in the story, your level of participation in the project. Sometimes there is unconscious bias based that you are a photographer, and sometimes they perceive, I'm not saying that it's always, but sometimes there is a perception that the real journalist might not be the photographer, or you're not a native English speaker, so there might be, I don't know, extra questions about the writing work, the reporting work, the process. So that is an example of document absolutely everything. I am the screenshot queen, but also record impact, record with the good things that people say about how that impacted, how the visuals, it's not only the written reporting and the documents and it's also how your visual work changes the structure of the story and how it impacts as a result. So if someone sent an email, save it, send it to the editor, you know, record the impact, because that way we can continually remind them that visual journalism is like photojournalism is journalism. So record that, be very mindful. And also sometimes just keep at it. I don't know if it's an advice that it's helpful, but document and cover your butt.
Yeah. Cover your butt. Great advice. Don't be a diva and cover your butt. Right. Those are the main takeaways today, everyone. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, let's talk about safety and self-care. We have a few questions. And by the way, y'all, thank you so much for all of your amazing questions. We have so many. So you might have noticed I'm trying to like pair questions together to make sure that we try to get all of them answered. So safety / self-care. There's some questions around, you know, for example, how do you protect yourself when you're covering a sensitive topic and can potentially be targeted, especially through hacking, but also, you know, how do you take care of yourself? How do you deal with the feeling of guilt when you take mental health self-care days? You know, the world is full of such constant horrible news, and it's hard to feel like you deserve a break when there's always news. And I just want to preface this by saying, like, I don't know if Marie does take breaks. like I said, I think there might be 2 Maries out there, but there must be some ways that you recharge or something that keeps, you know, you going. So safety in terms of like literal safety in the field, hacking, etc., physical safety, and also mental, emotional safety. Tell us.
Well, situational awareness, I try to be very conscientious around what is happening around me. And I also have my little spidey senses on which I can already tell that this person might be trouble. So I am playing ahead of them. That does not mean that I have received awful snail mail letters and things of that nature. But I am ultra aware and I believe in the buddy system. So I try, if I know that this is going to be a problematic scene or I'm going to enter into problematic spaces, I try to have a buddy. That's another one that was a lesson learned. I went to an inauguration and some folks surrounded me and started yelling build the wall. I don't know if they perceived some level of Latinidad. I don't know what was the context. I just know that all of a sudden I was surrounded by a lot of men. And I just navigated, thankfully, my way out of that situation. But keep your eyes open, develop a sense for people. It's just, and then and the buddy system, don't go alone to places. There's no need. We know better now than 20 years ago. If just believe and trust in yourself. If something feels off, listen to that and act on it and find a buddy. And then in terms of like the emotional impact, that's another one that I learned the hard way. I would say that now, my God, a therapist. Try not to bring that home because you might be better equipped to deal with the emotional burden and your partner might not. So I try not to send back the trauma, or I won't tell my mom that I'm going to the jungle until the night before. Don't tell her like 2 months ahead. Things of that nature, in which and get yourself a therapist, because again, friends get also emotionally exhausted. So pay someone that it can also have solutions and that can have skills. That is not just you sending into the ethos information and pain, but that when you get something back, it's solution based as well. I'm not going to deny having friends that were immigration reporters was a big help because they knew what I was going through. That was a lifesaver, that I could call someone at 1 a.m. and be like, hey, I saw this and I am devastated. So again, community, build your network and give back. This is not one way. Give back too. Give them time, your time, make time, invest in them. So that has been what has been helping. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, for sure. It does. And, I think just to add to that, because as someone who pays for my own healthcare, I wish that I could afford a therapist. I can't. Really need one. But there are other ways, right, that you can take care of yourself, if it's reading a book or going on a walk or eating your favorite cookie or whatever that thing is. And sleep. I think sleep is really important too. If you can sleep, take it when you can. It's like photojournalism is your little baby and you sleep when the baby sleeps. So when you're done, try to sleep, because I have been absolutely wrecked after certain assignments, and 5 hours of solid sleep with has been miraculous and resetting myself. So yeah, just do whatever it is that you need to do and try not to feel guilty about it, because if you are not okay, you cannot do this really important work. So try to slough off the guilt that you can feel from that. But yes, and have a doggy. Marie has a
that helps tremendously.
I pet my cat super hard. I'm pet therapy. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do another couchy question. So someone asked, does the gear matter? And also any tips for a beginner photographer trying to put themselves out there more, any essentials that you would think are needed? I know you've touched on a lot of things, but if you had a little toolkit of these are the things you absolutely should make sure you do when you're first starting off, and what would those be? Plus also, does the gear matter?
I mean, gear matters in terms of you're making photos at night, and obviously a lens that can handle darkness is very, very helpful. So I'm not going to deny that there is some level, the extent that the gear will respond and will respond fast to fast moving situations. I don't focus too much on it. I just try to have the basics, maybe 1 or 2 prime lenses, a longer lens, and I move on. I do have a lighting kit. It was an investment on myself and my career, and that has paid off with side gigs. That is what I invested, right? For years, I didn't have a good car because I bought a light kit, and it has just, the investment has paid itself many, many, many times. So some level of reliable gear, absolutely, it does help. It would be a lie not to, but how much do I put on, thought? I just want to be able to file quickly, file on time, and have equipment that it's reliable, that it's not going to break down, and that in darkness and in fast moving pace, I can do that. And I think someone asked about photo mechanic. Yes, I am a big photo mechanic person. I use it to file, to FTP, to put metadata in it. I use it to even implement the watermarks automatically. I use photo mechanic in many ways. I think someone asked about that. And how to really, what do you need to start? Man, I look for stories, start working on things as soon as possible. Put coherent work, fill in the gaps, come back home, re-edit, look at the work, what scenes am I missing? And then put it in front of people, ask for advice, ask for feedback, try to find an opportunity to make photos as often as possible. Be focused and be organized. Expand your skill set beyond making good photo frames. And relationships. Honestly, it's just relationships. People that want to work with you, people that want to also see you succeed. Find yourself a champion. But again, you got to be very, very proactive. You just
yes. Proactive. This, I mean, I always say, if you don't absolutely 100% love photography or photojournalism, probably don't do it, because it is all consuming. It is all consuming. And if you don't find it enjoyable most of the time, or half of the time, or whatever of the time, because it's the type of profession too that it's going to pay off in terms of gratification and fulfilling, and that you feel like you're doing something to make the world a better place, but not necessarily financially. Although Lindsay, at the last class of today, we'll be talking about how you can diversify your income stream. So it doesn't mean that we should all be absolutely broke doing this, because we absolutely should not. But yeah, like Marie said, it is constant. You have to be proactive. You have to be doing every little thing, because you never know when one thing is going to stick, right? And I just wanted to piggyback on your response, Marie, that about starting stories, those can be literally in your own backyard. It could be of yourself, of your own family. It could be of your own community. You do not have to travel thousands of miles away to start a personal project. What's happening in your community that you can focus on right now without having to dip too much in your own pocket to do so. And on that note, piggybacking off of that, where was that question? And
when you look for the question, look at other people's work, evaluate what makes the work of other photographers in that moment or that story successful. Evaluate those frames, look at the composition, the lighting, where are they placing things? Be very analytical and almost clinical to what is working. What are editors' appetite as well, while also keeping some level of your authentic voice. And number 2, and when they actually do give you the opportunity, please work it. Work on that assignment. I had a side gig with a Bitter Southerner, awesome publication. The source was a little flaky, but I cannot just go back to Bitter Southerner magazine and say well, it's the source's fault. I just, right? So I already have the draft of the story. So I went and looked for some people myself that was part of that story, and I put some meat into the assignment because I really wanted to keep that client. So again, being proactive, and sometimes if this is a client that really interests you, work the extra mile.
Yes. Proactive. Okay, I found the question. So we have about 5 more minutes. This has been so amazing and helpful. I hope that you have had a second to look at the chat. People are just like applauding you and thanking you for sharing all of this valuable advice. Look at it when I'm in the outro, when I'm like, okay, can you explain verb photography a bit more? Like, what did you actually mean by that? And then also, what are some tips to breaking your own stories? Like, I feel like a lot of times in this industry, it's like chicken or the egg. Like, well, how do I get a grant if I don't have a personal project? And how do I start a personal project if I don't have funding? So what are some tips that have been useful to you to breaking your own stories, and explain verb photography a bit more? I think that term was a little, I would like to know more. What's
so
verb photography?
action. Sometimes some newsrooms and newsrooms that are word first or word primary wordies sometimes rely a bit too much on portraiture. Even though I love portraiture, you can see my portfolio, I do it all the time. It's a release. I enjoy it, except that moments, high peak moments, verbs, in other words, action, right? Like, we understand the word verb with a descriptive of an action. So I tell the reporters, yeah, but like, I need a verb picture. And automatically they know that Marie's saying this smells of portraiture. And for this story, portraiture does not work. So, and again, yes, it's sort of maybe a Marie thing, a verb photography. Seeing people in their own environment, doing things, being active, engaging. But also it depends on what is the story. It sometimes quiet, subtle moments is what it requires as well. So maybe it's not about what they're doing, but how they sort of feel like that quietness of, I learned so much from them, their surrounding, by documenting them in the quiet. So verb versus portrait versus subtle.
Yeah, and also my like MO sometimes is just to literally photograph everything. Like, if there's something happening, photograph it a million different ways, then go to the next thing that's happening and photograph it a million different ways. And just then when you're home and you're looking through your pictures, you're like, okay, that works. But like, sometimes in the moment, I'm just like, gather as much as I possibly can, so just like Marie said, be proactive, like photograph, like obsessively. So there was another part to that question though. Any tips to like breaking your own stories? And that will be the last question. So
meet up with sources, meet up with people in your community, ask them what's going on, what do they know about, have you heard about anything? I get sometimes story ideas from assignments that I'm already there. So it's like, ooh, wait, right? Like, I heard last night I went to make some photos in Montrose in an area that it's a very LGBTQ friendly and like the cultural family hub of LGBTQ. Someone said something about, where is this establishment sitting on, the legacy that this new establishment is sitting on. And the person said something in the nature of, that new establishment, it's sitting on the ashes of family members that died during the AIDS crisis in the 80s and 90s. When this person said that, I'm like, boop, I want to know more about that. So again, it's about curiosity. I am curious. I want to know, the person described it as the people that were not claimed by their families, right? They died with blood family absent, but surrounded by their chosen family. They would cremate and then they would spread the ashes, but then in the process of development and businesses coming and going, we have to fact check. I cannot just like, ooh, this could this could be not entirely, I got to fact check. I'm a journalist first, right? But at least it put a little bit of a signal in the back of my head, like maybe I need to make some calls, just some calls. I'm not pitching it yet. I'm not making a budget line. I'm going to maybe make some calls and see what happens. So listen to interviews, listen to conversations, pay attention, get out of your route. If you are always taking this street, maybe take another street to return back home so it refreshes your creative juices. I just have so much that this is an illness, right? I love this.
Someone stop her.
Yes.
She can't. And we didn't even, I mean, please everyone, like, follow Marie if you aren't already. You know, she's really doing so much. We didn't even really get into like, how do you also juggle like organization work, being the first Latina president of MPPA. I mean, that is a whole additional job in addition. We didn't even really get into that, but thank you again so much for your time. Someone is saying, are you open to giving your email to talk more with us? And if she isn't, I'm sure it's on her website. Sorry, Marie, did I just like dox you? But yeah, thank you, Marie, so much for all of your incredibly valuable advice. I think some takeaways that I personally loved was protect your booty. Don't be a diva, be proactive, be curious, find community, support others, and just keep going. So thank you, Marie. Thank you. You are so wonderful and amazing. And it was an honor to share this space with you today and to hear from you. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for your amazing questions. We tried to get in as many as we possibly could, but looks like Marie has shared her contact info and her Instagram. So please feel free to stay in touch with her. We will be starting the next class in just a moment with Saina Bashir talking about how to edit your work. She's going to give us some actual real life examples of her own work. And before we jump into that, we just want to thank our partner Photo Wings again for helping make the essentials happen. Photo Wings is incredible, y'all, and their mission is to highlight and help facilitate the power of photography to influence the world. And as a nonprofit, they help photography to be better understood, created, utilized, seen, and saved. And that is exactly what we're doing here today. And speaking of saved, just a reminder to everyone that these classes will be recorded and available online at the Everyday Projects, Black Women Photographers, and Photo Wings websites. So take note again of our websites, follow us on social media, and do not forget, nobody asked about this, so I'm wondering if it went over everyone's head. Everyone stop what you're doing and pay attention to what I'm saying right this second. Do not forget about the meet and greet later today. It starts around 2:15 p.m. New York City time. And you can join us to meet some new awesome photographers around the world. It's going to be this Zoom link here in the chat. We are dropping the Zoom link in the chat for the meet and greet later. So copy it, paste it somewhere on your computer. It's going to be a like breakout style Zoom room where we'll actually get to see each other. So please come join for that if you can. It's at 2:15. It'll probably start a little late because we'll probably run over a couple minutes, but it's after Lindsay's session at the end of today's session, which by the way, we also have a full day of classes tomorrow. So we've got Saina coming up, then Lindsay Weatherspoon, then the meet and greet, and then all of the classes tomorrow as well.